Good evening and welcome. Tonight we have 4 true glitch in the matrix scary stories. I find these type of stories intriguing, and I'm sure it's similar to something some of you have experienced at some point. The unexplainable. With that said, let's begin. Me, 26, and my girlfriend of 25 have been living together in an apartment for 2.5 years. Everything has been normal until quarantine started around 4 weeks ago, when I started noticing some odd things. For instance, for the last 3 weeks or so, my girlfriend has been putting sugar in her morning coffee, while throughout our entire relationship she has always been very much against it. It may seem like a small detail, but she's always been complaining about how I don't know what real coffee is since I put quite a lot of sugar in. On the first day that I saw her drinking coffee with sugar, I asked her why she would do that, and she looked at me weirded out and said something like, "What are you talking about? I've always been putting sugar in my coffee." I felt a bit confused for a moment, but then we started talking about some other things, so I didn't think any more about it until the morning after, when she did exactly the same thing, and had once again the same reaction. Fast forward a few days and another odd thing happened. We were having sex and she suddenly suggested a sex pose that we had already tried once, but had gone wrong and it hurt her, so we had simply decided not to try it anymore. Naturally, I was very surprised with her suggestion, and reminded her about the time when it went wrong, and she completely dismissed it, saying that I probably mixed her up with some ex-girlfriend, or that I was just tripping. We then did the pose and we actually enjoyed it. Today, the weirdest thing happened, which is the reason I'm writing this post. In the afternoon, I was working at home. I'm employed as a PhD student at the computer science department of my university. When my girlfriend asked me what's up with the guy who I've never heard of before, I asked her who she was referring to, and she said, well, it's that colleague of yours who you're always talking about, the one from the company where you're employed at. I froze and I asked her to repeat, and she said exactly the same thing all over again. Then I told her that I don't work at any company, nor have I ever worked at any company, since I started a PhD straight after my master's degree. At this point, she also completely froze, and we were just staring at each other completely confused and shocked for a few moments. She then asked me what the fuck is going on, and I reminded her about the coffee thing and about the sex pose and that I don't know anymore what is going on. At this point, she started crying too and asked what is wrong with us. Neither me or her or anyone in both our families have ever had mental problems in the past. We don't know what to do about this. Can anyone explain what's wrong with us? This happened about 2 years ago, and I was so blown away I took notes and told my wife about it, so I still have the notes on my phone. My 5-year-old son was pretty typical for his age, always goofing around, never serious, always working some angle to negotiate treats or buying whatever the thing was on top of his list that week. Kids have a selfish worldview, and that's mostly understandable because they haven't matured yet. So when my son asked me to go for a walk, just the two of us, I immediately laughed and thought, okay, what's he going to ask for? We start walking and I asked, "What's on your mind, buddy?" He said, "Nothing really. I just want to have some time to be with you and be peaceful and be out in nature." Well, okay, this is progress, I thought. Then he said, "I want you to know that you're the best dad I've ever had. You really do help me and my sister a lot, and you're really very nice. Even though we don't usually tell you, so I just wanted to say thank you for everything, and that I want to be near you always." By this point, the only reason I wasn't completely crying my eyes out was that I thought it was some kind of a joke or a lead up to ask for something. This was totally out of character, especially at this age. I managed to croak out something like, "I'm really glad to hear that, and I love you very much." Then we just enjoyed the rest of the walk. It really felt like for a moment I was speaking to a soul who had had several lives. "You're the best dad I've ever had," and wanted to speak directly to me instead of play the role of a child. I'm so glad it happened, and it's something I will never forget. Later he went right back to being the same old goofy kid that I love. I died last night, but I'm still here. So this actually happened last week. It just took me some time to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from my next door neighbour late in the evening asking if I can help him move a mattress into his upstairs. His mum is ill and has a big heavy sleep number bed. I of course ran over to help because they're great neighbours. I get over there and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it up the stairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbour asks if I can help them move an Airmore upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was in the lower end of the airmore, about 6 steps up, when my neighbour and his friend lose a handle and it comes crashing down on me and I fall backwards towards the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbour asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mum. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, and this has to be the first time I met him. I say I can help you with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbour was like, how do you know about the armoire? I then proceeded to tell them I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbour didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail down to the metal mattress frame on the floor, and I had never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up at my dining room table. For a few weeks before this, while out driving, I've observed pedestrians standing at the traffic lights who will reach into their pocket and look at their phone as they're walking across the road when the light goes green. Nothing significant or strange about this. Just one of those mundane things you notice while going about your day. Today, I was driving with my daughter and we stopped at a red light at a crossing and there was a man standing there. Nothing out of the ordinary, denim jacket, black cap, glasses, around 6'2". I thought I'd try to weird out my young daughter. She's 5, so I knew I was going to blow her mind. So I said, see that man? When the walking man goes green and he starts to walk across, he'll reach into his pocket and pull out his phone and start looking at it. Watch and see. As he walks across, he reaches into his pocket, but then immediately takes his hand out and looks and points right at me with his mouth open, smiling, like gotcha stance. Of course my daughter found this absolutely hilarious and I sat there completely mind blown. I must have sat there in silence looking at him walk across for the next 10 seconds. I drove on and had a look at him as I drove past, and he was smirking and laughing. I've been playing it through my head all day. The windows were up, the radio was on, I wasn't shouting, my voice was not even remotely raised. He must have been about 15-20 feet away from me. I can't figure out at all how he could have heard me. It's quite literally impossible. How did he know I was trying to predict he'd reach into his pocket for his phone? The only even remote possibility I can think of is he's had the same observations as me and thought I might be thinking the same thing, so just went for it. But realistically, what are even the chances of this? Thank you all for listening. If you like this sort of stuff, then don't subscribe, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you.